these things, these qualities that you've extracted out of those.
Yeah, giving the people the I shop, therefore I am. That's the idea. Being socialized, and also for a restaurant part, we can say that we invite some potential group, and a young group, and they open their first restaurant or cafes or bar, and then they spread different places in our cities now. We are not looking for only making a space, creating the event space, creating the life, creating the relationship, communication between our clients and our owners, our tenants, our citizens.
And when you talk about relationships, it does remind me about one of the other inspirations which was taken from the project, from such as the Turkish bazaar, for example, the relationship between the tenants themselves, the relationship between the customers and the tenants and the neighbouring area. Could you talk a little bit about that as well, and the formulas that are present within the bazaars and how they are reinterpreted in Cadde?
I think we created a different store formulas. One of them, the permanent, is successful and powerful, and they have what they do, and they sell maybe the last 20 years the same products. And the second one, they need to understand their customers, clients, and the people, what they want to buy. And they need the temporary spaces, or it's a kind of outlet. They have the many stuff, and they would like to sell them quickly for 2 days, 3 days, and because they don't want to pay more rent and maintenance. It's a kind of the experimental relationship. Cadde is this kind of 3 different models, and also it's not a direct shopping, but the concert, a open air cinema, and as a new event organization also, the fourth one. And we would like to give them the spaces as a multi-purpose, multitask. You can transform and change and divide easily. Therefore, we use the containers. Containers is, maybe you can. Everybody knows for transportation. What is so attractive type of the product, but I would like to warn people, and it's not easy to use them, to transfer them as a space.
And this sort of thing that you mentioned about the sharing in spaces and the different layers and different levels is something that we see, like in, say, for the Asian bazaars, for example, with lots of different activities going on, and spaces which you normally associate with maybe circulation that can be used for selling products, and also selling things that you can't just find, say, in the average shopping centre, but alternative things, handmade things, individual things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Bosphorus Strait and the maritime traffic, and also about abandoned shipping containers. As you can see from this slide, 50,000 vessels pass through the Bosphorus annually, making it one of the most busiest stretches of sea in the world. And this causes quite a lot of problems, especially because it's quite dangerous to navigate through it, being so narrow, and also the fact that because it has differing layers of depth, and this also makes it difficult to navigate through. There's been over 400 accidents on the Bosphorus since 1936. In particular, the Independent in the Bosphorus in 1979 was a huge accident, and as a consequence, millions of litres of crude oil were spilt into the sea. This had a huge effect on the ecology, and the mess was left for the municipality of Istanbul to clean up, as well as the local people. So therefore, Istanbul has a very, very large responsibility because of the fact that the Bosphorus runs right through the middle of it. But also large cargo ships also do have accidents on the Bosphorus as well. And because of this, many shipping containers find their way either to the bottom of the seabed or are just floating around on the surface. Some of the damaging effects of having shipping containers lying around at some of the ports around Istanbul. So salvage, lost shipping containers are a huge problem, as you can see. One of the main issues with them is that they use a lot of space and they're unsightly and they're very difficult to move. And this is a huge problem for Istanbul, and the entire responsibility is left for Istanbul, although the Bosphorus is an international gateway for vessels that are travelling from the Mediterranean towards the Black Sea. Inspirational projects around which show the benefits of recycling. So with all this available material, it was our intention to use it and to create an iconic project which illustrates recycling at its best, and also which shows Istanbul that these containers can be used for other functions. So this is an illustration from the initial stages of the design. As you can see here on the left hand side, you have the section where there's the containers, and this is a more fixed part of the design, which is permanent, though the containers can be moved around, rearranged in the future. In the middle you have the section where things are rather temporary, temporary buggies and temporary vendors, and in the far end you have the entertainment space. Over here you can see a section where the two different layers can be seen. The lower section is much more denser, where all the activity happens, and the upper level is a lot more quieter and calm, and that's those two differences.
Cadde has the main square and some side squares together. It's like a village. Looks like affordable, made by the containers, but well designed, and also the design piece by piece. And because we tried the different alternatives, how can we organize the relationship among the containers? How can we obtain some spaces easily go, and attractive streets, and making it surprisingly.
And also from this early proposal, we know that the different zones and the function of each different place kind of helps to bring people together and form relationships, like those things that we talked about from the bazaar, for example, and how the relationships between the vendors themselves or between the people visiting, and the sort of alternative things that are available here to, say, the average shopping mall, helps to re-establish those relationships in a community that is very, very dense, and there's not many recreational facilities around.
Yeah, I think today's in Istanbul there are maybe a couple of modern art museum or contemporary museum, but the art fair is so successful. 3 days. I think the Art Basel Miami and Frankfurt, Art Basel, Dubai, and Istanbul Contemporary Fair. It's kind of the 3 days. Why do people tend to go and buy art, from a kind of bazaar, and a kind of in between the shopping mall and a fair, a bazaar. We need today this kind of the mix ideas, not only one. It gives more potential and dynamics. We invited the many graffiti artists from the different countries, and also we are planning to do next year, the 1 week at the Graffiti Festival. And graffiti, it's not the formal art, but it's so attractive, so interesting. You don't know who paints on the wall, but it says something. And
it's like an anonymous expression.
About today's feeling.
So the design in itself was a methodological approach that you took, and you could describe it as being modular, where you have the units being adjustable and expandable to some degree. With a industrial shipping, obviously with the shipping containers, it has this kind of industrial feel to it. You've optimized them so they become an array of units with several levels of iterations and playful interventions. And something which you've done is you scaled down the urban planning elements. So you've created squares and plazas, shortcuts, which we'll talk about in a moment when we see the plans.
What we designed like this, the rectangular and also crisscross to this kind of and as a kind of the Broadway and the New York plan. It gives us the more higher accessibility. You can go the shortcut everywhere. And the second thing, the more facade surface, more why we need that daylight, and also the advertising and graffiti spaces. And the third one, making it interesting, rememberable spaces among the streets. That's the three goals for us. I think that the Trump Jante may be a micro master planning. And we do it today, the 6 kilometers by 6 kilometers by 2-3 kilometers master planning in a different country. But this is on the micro has the same ideas, same mentality, same mindset. There are different perspectives.
Yes.
City is by streets has different perspectives. All cities has different perspectives and different looking. You can see from this area, maybe a church, a mosque, a building you remember. This is your way, or your childhood would be there. And easy to remember, and the architecture and also the city design creates the memory. That's the important thing. I always did the good building, good master planning would be walkable, and in ground floor, what you do. And for any design, the master planning, the building design, the ground floor for public. The ground floor would be open visible and orientable and understanding all city. But some cities maybe has the slope. Even that, you can create different ground floors, and ground floor isn't only what architect designer shares the other people. Second floor is more experimental, the more the sitting, relaxing, and also the field for restaurants, the herbs and their ingredients.